Hello everyone, and welcome to Spa-Francorchamps, one of the most famous and iconic motor racing circuits in the entire world, nestling in the beautiful Ardennes forests of Belgium. You join me at the wheel of the Citroen C1 race car, prepared by PrepTech Racing, where myself and my fellow drivers, Jack Roberts, Matt Turnbull and Carlito Moracco, were to take on what proved to be an extraordinary 24-hour race. Now what you're seeing here is me driving very slowly down the pit lane on the morning of the race. This was mid-morning, I think. The race was due to start at 5 o'clock later that day, and I was the first person to take the car out that morning for what's known as a warm-up. Now more of that in a moment, but there's not many races in the world where there are so many cars entered in this from various classes. There was about 150 in total, that you actually get held up in congestion, would you believe, in a traffic jam in the pit lane trying to make your way out onto the circuit. So there's a number of different cars. Some of them are hybrid 2CVs. You'll see one emerging from the right there, some sort of aerodynamically enhanced 2CV, very much modified. Some of them I believe have some sort of bike engine, and there's more traditional 2CVs, one of which I'm actually following at this moment as I make my way out onto the circuit, up the hill into Radion. That hill, I know everybody says it, but that hill you won't quite believe how steep it is until you actually attend there. When you watch Formula 1 and various races from Spa on the television, it doesn't look as steep, anything like as steep as it actually is. So here I am again, once again held up in a traffic jam, would you believe, trying to make my way out onto the circuit, and eventually we do make it in second gear, and I move onto the straight and blast past the traditional 2CV. Take that, sir. There we are. So one down, 149 to go, and another one. There we are. So now I'm moving down the straight, thinking there's a number of things I probably should be sorting out during the warm-up. I've no real idea what they are, but I do know the one golden rule, and that is, do not damage the car. So as I'm approaching this corner, all I'm thinking is,
do not crash! Do not crash! Ah! Who was that? Why is he so close? Who's this one? Don't get any close to him! No, stay away! Stay away! Steady! Oh my god! Don't crash! Don't crash! Brake! Oh my god! What's he doing? Why is he slowing down? Stay away from him! Stay away from that! Second gear! What's he doing? Ah! Move by! What's coming up now? Oh no! Is that him coming back? Ah! What's he doing now? Go round there! Right! Get him on the next one! Get him on the next corner! Stay away though! Stay away from him! Right, third gear! Steady on the engine! What's that noise? I don't know! I'll have to talk to someone else about that! Right, here we go! Stay away from those two! Stay away! Alright, go by them now then! Go by this one! Quick! Quick before the next corner, get in fourth gear! Stay away from that other man! Why is he so fast? Why can't I stay with him? Right, go by him now! Go by, but give him a wide corner! Go on! Go on! Right, he appears to have gone. Oh, why's that? Golly, I mean, he really has gone.
yes, he really did go, unfortunately, and I never saw him again, which was a bit disheartening, because I'm now driving around thinking, right, okay, this is all very well staying away from my fellow competitors, but I seem to be driving like a granny. But anyway, there we are. As I say, the main thing was to just drive around the circuit and see what's what. So just a little bit about the cars that were entered. I think there was about 150 cars in total in the event, and I think they were split into about 4 different classes. There was the traditional 2CVs that you see throughout all of France, generally nestling in various farm buildings with nettles and weeds growing out the wheel arches. Well, they were out on the circuit racing. Extraordinary things. When you came up behind one in the race, you genuinely thought they could easily fall over. And then you have the enhanced 2CVs, the hybrid ones, the one we saw in the pit lane briefly, the Kardashian of 2CVs, enhanced in almost every possible way with lots of plastic bodywork and lots of mechanical upgrades. But we'll pause on that for a moment as we proceed onto the flying lap, my one flying lap that I had. So here I am now powering down to the hairpin at Lecombe into second gear. Round there. And one of the most famous sections of all motor racing circuits in the entire world, the run up to Eau Rouge and Radion. Now, as you approach it, unfortunately the camera's struggling to pick it out, but it does look like the side of a mountain. So here we are, fourth gear. Now there's a lot of opinion amongst the paddock whether you stay in fourth gear or whether you slip it into third at the top to make your way onto Kimmel Straight, and it would appear that on this particular lap I decided to keep it in fourth, probably thinking about the engine. And now you'll see the slightly relaxed pose I have, as there's nothing much to do whilst you're tooling along the straight in fourth gear. A lot of people always ask me, what speed are you doing? And the honest answer is I've no real idea. But I did actually glance down at the speedo a few times going down the straight, and it was about 95. So into third gear, slipping up the inside again of a traditional 2CV, and we're going through Lecombe. Staying in third gear. Again, taking it quite easy, and now we're coming down to Rivage. This is a nasty little finicky corner into second gear, bit squirrely there, trying to keep it tight, but then snatch third gear on the exit. Now in this one in the race, as you came down to Pouhon, this was where you didn't really sort of brake much, you just generally lifted and then hurled the car at it. Now, this was this is Pouhon, I'm sorry. This was one of my, the trickiest corner I found. Again, not sure whether it should be third gear or fourth gear. Again, a lot of talk in the paddock, whether you keep it in fourth or change it to third. I decided to change it to third, but as we know, I was effectively driving it like I was driving it to the shops. Into third gear, going into Fagnier, through there, now making our way down to Stavelot, getting round there in third gear, already realising that this was a pretty terrible lap really, and now powering my way towards the infamous Blanchiment. I cannot imagine what this must be like in a very fast car, like a GT3 race car or something. Blast past another 2CV, there we go. Because this is flat out. This is absolutely flat chat. Same in all sorts of race cars, really. So here we are, this left-hand bend. Whoosh! Now, in these C1s, it's obviously not that impressive. But in a GT3 it must be extraordinarily brave to do that, particularly in the dark, particularly in the wet. So down into second gear as we take the bus stop chicane, again with another traditional 2CV in front, which blast by, and we come up to line, glancing at the lap timer there in the middle of the screen and realising that the time we just posted was pretty pathetic. But there we go. Now, the way this warm-up works is I had one out lap, one quick lap, and this effectively is my in lap. So now more than ever, I'm now thinking, do not damage the car at all on the in lap, because I'm about to hand it over to one of my colleagues. So again, I come up to Eau Rouge Radion, and again now I'm stuck behind one of the other 2CVs, so I'm not about to do anything particularly dramatic here. So going back to the race, I mentioned that there are about 150 cars involved in it. split into 4 classes. We've done the 2CV ones. Ah! Well, there you go. That's one of the hybrid 2CVs. That's the ones, the Kardashian ones. You'll see they have a massive speed advantage. They used to come powering down the Kemmel Straight because I've no idea what engine they're running, but they were much, much quicker than us. And unfortunately, one of them was to be our undoing in the race. So anyway, there's 2 classes of C1s. There's the UK C1s, of which we were in, and I think there was about 50 of them entered. So there was 50 cars in our class. And then there were the European Citroen C1s, which were basically the same, although they had a few enhancements on them. They had alloy wheels, different suspension, I think it was, and a different ECU, engine mapping, which meant they were a little bit quicker than us. But believe you me, I had a lot of fun playing with them during the night. So what actually happened to us in the race? Well, we were doing really, really well. We actually qualified, I think we qualified about 7th from memory, 7th in class. And then Matt did the first shift, did a fantastic job as he always does. And I think by the time I got in the car, which was during the night, I think we still were in 7th. But by the time I got out of it, because of pit stops and what have you and various changes, we got up to third in class. Had absolutely the best racing experience of my entire life. We then took the lead in our class, and we were leading for quite some considerable time. Unfortunately, when I then did my second shift, around about 6 o'clock on the Sunday morning, and it was raining, and I was just proceeding into this section here, which is the infamous Blanchiment. And as I'm proceeding down here in the rain, and I saw a blue light come on, and just as I'm turning in, one of the hybrids was moving up my inside, and just as I got to about here, flat out, he clipped my back end, and just about there, span me completely into the tyres. And I crashed heavily, probably about 85 miles an hour, and wrecked the whole of the back end of the car. The Prep Tech team did an incredible job of rebuilding it, and we eventually finished 9th in the race. But as always with motor racing, it's what could have been. But honest to God, had the greatest racing experience you're ever gonna have. And many thanks to all my teammates and for Prep Tech for making it possible.